The court sitting in Bungoma did not even put Didmus Barasa on his defense. The court noted that the prosecution had not put forward evidence that would on its own convict the member of parliament who was accused of killing Brian Olunga before running away for 3 days. But it is the phone calls Olunga's father received and what he was told by several witnesses that make him believe that Didmus Barasa is responsible some way, somehow, for his son's death. This here is the story of the Republic versus Didmus Barasa and how 3 witnesses saved a member of parliament from going to jail. I am Brian Obuya. Murder Tips, Not My Gun, begins right away.
Most people in Kakamega town did not know Brian Olunga, the son of Tobias Odinga. The boy hailed from Samitsi in Kakamega North. Those who knew him had probably been visitors at this joint that stares at you on the left of the highway as you enter Kakamega town. At this joint, Olunga had been serving as a bouncer. His strong body physique had given him an upper hand over his peers who were still struggling with unemployment in a country where the Kenya Federation of Employers say has a youth unemployment rate of 67%. In short, having a job at this time was and still is more of an exception than a rule. Olunga worked here fending for his young family and himself. It was just a matter of time before Olunga was approached and given a new job. He was employed as a part of the security detail of Kimilili parliamentary candidate Brian Haemba. On election day, he was shot and killed at 5 p.m. He was 21 years old. For several months between March and August 2022, politicians were running around the country and their constituencies convincing the electorate that they had the best solutions for their problems. Raila Odinga's Azimio la Umoja was taking on William Ruto's Kenya Kwanza, a new coalition that was seeking to introduce the candidature of Mr. Ruto to uncharted territories like Western and Nyanza, Kenya. Members of parliament had joined different coalitions to outdo each other. In Kimilili, Brian Haemba, a former magistrate, now a lawyer, was going head-to-head with Didmus Barasa of the iconic Red Hat. Barasa was in Kenya Kwanza coalition as Haemba campaigned as a part of Azimio la Umoja coalition. Barasa and Haemba were traversing Kimilili for this coveted political seat. Their campaigns were not without security threats, and thus each of them had a team of self-sourced security detail. As part of Haemba's security team was Brian Olunga, the club bouncer at 777.
Brian alikuwa first born wangu, ni mtoto wa kwanza kwa familia yangu. Na ni mtoto ambaye nilimpenda zaidi. Brian alisoma masomo yake mpaka kidato cha 4. Alipohitimu kidato cha 4, alitoka kashikana na marafiki zake kujitafutia ajira huko Kakamega. Ndio alipatana na huyo aspirant, huyo Brian Haemba. Akawa ni kijana yake ya mkono.
Wakati alikutana nao, kuna siku akakuja akatuambia, mama, nimepata mwanasiasa fulani hapa huko Kitale, nitashughulikako na yeye kwa maneno ya security kwa muda kama mwezi moja mbili. Sasa wakati siku ya kura ilifika, akatuambia mama, sitakuwa na nyinyi, mara hii wakati wa kura nitakuwa Kitale. Tukasema ni sawa.
The nature of politics, there is no code of conduct as such that regulates the manner in which people seek votes. So sometimes you run into a rowdy crowd. Some youth have been immobilized to attack your vehicles. So I engaged quite a number of young people that I was working with. And one of them was the deceased.
After several months of offering security to the candidate, the ultimate day had come. The Chebukati-led IEBC was carrying out the election exercise across some 46,000 polling stations in Kenya. One of them was Chepkwabi Primary School in Kimilili. At about 5 p.m., Didmus Baraza arrived at the polling station. His closest rival, Brian Haemba, followed at about 5:15 p.m. Haemba's driver says that when they arrived, it was the two Brians, that is Brian Haemba and Brian Olunga, who proceeded to Class 8G. Class 8G was one of the two streams at the polling center. Inside Class 8G was Didmus Barasa. An election official said that it did not take long after the duo stormed the polling station than they left. But everything was about to go wrong outside.
And when I went to that station, I was with the deceased, my driver and some other young men. We had two vehicles. So I went straight to one of the voting rooms and I found out that voting was complete and the IEBC officials were now arranging the room for counting of votes. And then I found that the MP was there. Of course, on that tension, I just said hi to everyone who was in the room. Then I stepped out and I headed to the vehicle, which vehicle my driver was in. And of course, when I entered the vehicle, there were two vehicles. One was in front. That is now the vehicle that I was in. That's my personal vehicle now that I use. And another one was behind. Then Brian has stepped out of the vehicle, but not very far, just near the vehicle. So I sat the middle of the back seat, sandwiched by two other gentlemen, one on the right, another on the left. And within a spur of a moment, I had a gunshot. Then another gunshot, which now hit the rear of the vehicle, had a double cabin. At that time now Brian hit, and it happened within a flash of a second. Brian entering the vehicle now on the co-driver's seat and gunshot. Of course, that tension, we could know what gunshot is, why is it happening. So the vehicle in front had to start, because the one that in front had blocked us, so it had to start. And Brian now, I saw he was bleeding. He's seated now next to the driver, was at the co-driver's seat. But now his head was bending towards the driver. And he was bleeding heavily. His face was covered with blood all over. So at first, my instinct told me maybe the gun, the shot, had hit the side, the window screen, and therefore those debris of the windscreen had fallen on his face, because you couldn't see where. I couldn't see a wound, but the blood all over the face. So we had to rush from the scene. And you know, people are, after the gunshot, people were running all over. And then we sped off. And now blood was coming now more faster than it was. Then we head towards Kimilili Sub-County Hospital. Then I left my my driver there. We had, of course, the doctor was already attending to him. Then I rushed to the police station, so I made a report. But as I was speaking to the DCIO, the driver called me and said, "We have lost him, the deceased."
The events were happening the evening of August 9, 2022. It was now about 6 p.m. But that night, the Odingas almost slept without knowing that their son's body lay cold somewhere.
Kila mara huwa napitia WhatsApp, lakini hiyo siku sikupitia. So wakati nilienda kujilasa, nikapata rafiki yangu mmoja ananipigia simu. Tobias, uko wapi? Nikamwambia hapana, mimi leo nimeenda nyumbani mapema. Nilikuwa na uchovu kidogo. Niambia hapana, leo umeenda kwa WhatsApp? Niambia hapana, mimi sijaenda WhatsApp. Niambia hapana, fungua WhatsApp. Niambia nini iko? Niambia hapana, wewe fungua WhatsApp. Fungua WhatsApp. Naona news na trend kwa WhatsApp kwamba Ditmas wanted. Kashinda, Ditmas wanted. Kisha hapo chini naona picha ya kijana yangu. Na huyu nikaamsha mama yake, nikamuuliza, unaona naonaje kwa WhatsApp?
Kaona picha ya Brian. Brian ameketishwa kwa kiti, damu inatiririka. Tukashtuka, huyu ni Brian ama ni nani? Tukamwangalia, ni yeye. Kusoma kuendelea, akapatikana kwamba ameshutiwa. Ilikuwa siku ya kura. Tukashtuka kitoko, tukalia, hatukuamini sababu jinsi tulikuwa tunapenda Brian, hatukutarajia maneno kama hayo.
Na hiyo siku pia watoto nao wanapenda mpira. Hawakuwasha TV kupande ya news. Walikuwa tu kwa mpira. Sasa nikauliza watoto, ninyi mmekuwa kwa news ya saa 1? Hapana. Ya saa 2? Hapana. Kama Brian ametrend kwa news hapa na sisi hatujaona. So tulitoka nje, tukaanza kulia hiyo usiku. Hapo ndio nilijua kwamba kijana wangu amekufa saa 3 usiku towards saa 4 on that day. I had to call my brothers huko nyumbani. Najua mimi nilihamia tu but home ni kule Malaa, Mumias East. So nika call my brothers. Wale walijaliwa kufika hapo, walifika mapema. Tukaamuka asubuhi. Tukaenda Kimilili.
An IEBC official says she did not know much of what was happening outside, but she knew there was a problem following a commotion they could hear while inside the classroom. According to Haemba,
when I was leaving the room, the MP followed me. Okay? Because I was there for about 2-3 minutes. So I stepped out and headed towards the vehicle, and it was following me. So me, I didn't know where I was going. Okay? And I had no issue because I had no confrontation with him. I minded my business, and I thought he's minding his own business.
Many witnesses say that it was Didmus Barasa who attempted to stop Khaemba's motorcade from leaving the polling center. At this time, Brian Khaemba had already left the classroom and was at the back center seat of the Toyota Hilux. It is not known why Didmus Barasa wanted Khaemba's motorcade stopped. The driver insists that Barasa walked in front of the vehicle to the left side of the Toyota Hilux and continued raising his voice that they stop. The driver says he saw Barasa reach for a gun tucked in his belt and fired one shot in the air and another at the car. The driver's statement is partly corroborated by a deputy presiding officer who said in their statement that while inside Stream 2, they had 2 gunshots, and so did Brian Khaemba.
There were 2 gunshots that I heard, if I'm not wrong. 2.
After the fatal shooting, no one knew where Didmus Barasa went. The MP went into hiding as pressure mounted on the police to arrest him.
Well, Kimilili Member of Parliament Didmus Barasa is a wanted man.
Didmus is said to have shot Brian Oluga at Chebukwasi polling station.
We can link up with our Zacchaeus Mwasame, who's got a brief on the incident with MP Didmus Barasa and that alleged shooting.
A message for him to surrender was sent to him through our security apparatus in Bungoma, but this suspect has not availed himself to any of our police stations.
During his 3 days as a fugitive, the MP appeared online from time to time, making tweets here and there. On August 12th, police arrested Didmus for the murder of Brian Olunga Odinga. 3 days later. From the onset, there was only one suspect, area MP Didmus Barasa, and no one could have ever thought otherwise apart from Olunga's family. His father says he expected nothing much from the courts.
Hakukuwako na doubt yote, hata watu wa huko Jebukube villagers wale walikuwa kwa hicho kituo walisema tu Didmus ndiye ameshutiwa. Walisema tu mheshimiwa ndiye ameshuti huyo mtoto, hiyo kijana yangu, kwa sababu waliona akishuti. Na kama mheshimiwa anaweza kataa kwamba hakuwa yeye mwenye alishuti mtoto wangu, swali langu ni kwamba mbona alitoroka hiyo wakati? Alitoroka kwa nini? Ndio akapatikana gari iko mara Uganda, mara wapi, akasima zimu zake only to service up wakati siku zimeisha, siku 2, was it 2 to 3 days, alijitokeza after some time. So hakukuwa na doubt yote kwangu mimi. Kulingana na ripoti ya TCIO yenye nilipewa, mtoto wangu aliwawa na Mheshimiwa Didmus Barasa.
On the 22nd of August 2022, Baraza would be arraigned at the Kakamega court for the murder of Olunga. In a 7-month trial, the DPP called about 24 witnesses to lock the case against Baraza. While most of the 21 witnesses who recorded statements with police and later took to the stand never gave vivid descriptions of what happened, it was Brian Haemba's driver who likely gave the most unflinching account of the happenings in his police statement. It was Haemba's driver, Joshua Simiyu, who put Didmus Baraza as the man who fired the shot that likely killed Brian Olunga. Joshua told the police that Baraza passed in front of the vehicle from the right-hand side and shot while in close distance. He sped off and, in his words, immediately had a second gunshot. With that, the driver had placed Baraza at the scene of the crime and the shooting. But he wasn't the only person who pinpointed at Baraza as having been at the scene, having a gun and firing. Prosecution witness number 2, NYS officer Donald Mwema, and prosecution witness Police Constable Emmanuel Kisilu, who was assigned at the station, told the court that Baraza shot once in the air, according to the two, to calm some situation of sorts.
There is no doubt that Brian Olunga was shot dead inside a car at a polling station in Bungoma. Someone pulled the trigger. The shooter was at a close range. Whether he was shot by Didmus Baraza or not is now beyond the point. The actual concern remains who shot him, now that there has never been an appeal in that case and police have never been interested in this other imaginary, faceless, shadowy murderer who presumably killed Olunga. Murder Tips returns shortly.
Investigating officers, Inspector of Police Peter Kamau, Corporal Ruben Maniki, Corporal Nix Karani, and Police Constable Bernard Mwange had conducted what from the surface appeared to be one of the most thorough investigations I had ever seen. The detectives had no doubt that Didmus Baraza had killed Brian Olunga.
Him being a reader, we were all surprised to see a reader who is tempered, hot-tempered, to an extent of killing somebody for an offense which is not yet disclosed.
The Kimilili MP-elect Didmus Baraza, who says he was acting in self-defense.
The media was running with the details. There was not so much confidence in the reporting of the murder, partly because it was difficult to believe it. What was difficult to believe is not that a member of parliament had shot someone, no. They do it oftenly and get away with it with impunity. The difficult thing to decipher was that a member of parliament had shot a person not as a stray bullet, but aiming at them and shooting them straight in the nose from just about 5 meters. But this is one case where police made their case so tight, but also knew how to lose it. It added to a list of what we see as compromised cases. And shortly, I will show you how. Many witnesses on record and off record maintained that Didmus Barasa fired his gun until 3 people key to the investigation bungled the prosecution's case. Murder Tips does not know whether the bungling of the case was coached and planned, but we could see how it actually happened. These 3 people were prosecution witness number 8, Joshua Simiyu, who served as Khaemba's driver during the shooting. Brian Khaemba himself was prosecution witness number 1. And 3, the ballistics examiner, Alfred Mbalani Kahi. Let's begin with Simiyu. Despite telling police that he saw Barasa draw his gun and fire and that he was close to their vehicle, Simiyu later told the court that he had gunshots as they drove away. The driver appears to have expunged the part where he told police, and I quote, "While I was trying to drive off, I noticed Honorable Didmus Barasa was signaling me to stop, as well as raising his voice that we stop. He passed in front of the vehicle to the left side, still ordering us to stop. By then, he had drawn his firearm and shot while in a close distance. Almost immediately, I sped off when I had a second gunshot which hit the left screen of the cabin." End of quote. The left cabin is where Brian Olunga sat. The failure by Simiyu to reiterate this statement in court was highly regretted by Justice Rose Ougo, who indicted him. For Brian Khaemba,
The entity or the person that made justice not to be done to the deceased is none other than the ballistic expert. None other than the ballistic expert. I went to court. I gave evidence. It's there on the record. It's public record. You can access the court documents.
that record says that Khaemba told the court that Barasa was on the right-hand side of the vehicle, while in fact, Barasa was on the left side, as was demonstrated by Inspector Alfred Mbalani of the DCI Ballistics Unit. And this was further corroborated by other witnesses, including his own driver, Joshua Simiyu. That record further says Khaemba told the Ougo court that he did not see Barasa display his gun or shoot, but had gunshots as they drove away. The dramatic and chaotic moment, as described by the driver in his statement, was too intense to imagine that an aspirant sitting at the center of the back seat wouldn't see when he believed that his life was in danger. After all, it was the only place where everyone's attention was, and indeed, Brian Khaemba saw it all unfold, if at all it did. We know this because he gave the same flow of events as his driver and as is in his statement during Olunga's burial. Khaemba's narration was captured live on TV.
But in brief, I was moving around just like another candidate around the polling sessions to certify myself on the ongoing voting process and the counting or preparation of the counting of votes. So on that particular polling session, when I arrived there, I was with the deceased, who was my personal aide. We went straight to the stream, the voting stream. And Didmus was inside there, and the IBC officials were in preparation for commencing the counting of votes, of course starting with the presidential election. I lasted in that room for less than 2 minutes. Then I stepped out, went straight to my car, so that we could go to other polling stations. Apparently, Didmus was following us. So when I entered the vehicle, he came straight to where the vehicle was, went to the driver and ordered the driver not to drive off. But of course the driver could only take directions from me. He proceeded to start the car so that he can move from that particular station. Then he crossed on the front side from the driver's seat to the co-driver's seat where the deceased was sitting, and removed his pistol from the waist and aimed at the deceased, shooting him on the right side, right nose. Of course, there was bleeding, and we rushed him to Kimilili Sub-County Hospital for treatment. Unfortunately, he was pronounced dead on arrival.
And then there was the ballistic examiner, Alfred Mbalani, who conducted investigations on the firearms and fragments that had lodged in Olunga's head. He told the court that his report was inconclusive before forwarding it to a government analyst, Dennis Owino Onyango, who testified as witness number 10, finally finding that Didmus Baraza's gun did not fire the fatal shot that took the life of Brian Olunga. That testimony would have been funny, only that it is too ridiculous, and here is why. You see, Alfred Mbalani represented the DCI as a ballistics examiner. Mbalani says, and he told the Rose Ougo court, that Didmus Baraza's gun did not kill Olunga. But the DCI was speaking from both ends of its mouth. The agency had on August 24, 2022, given a detailed statement on the progress of the case. Investigators at Mazingira Complex were not mincing their words. They told the public that ballistic examinations had shown that Didmus Baraza's gun had killed Brian Olunga. In fact, part of that statement reads, similarly, ballistic experts based at the DCI National Forensic Laboratory linked Baraza's firearm to the fatal shot that took away Olunga's life. This followed a report issued by the ballistic experts after the investigating team forwarded Baraza's Glock pistol, a cartridge retrieved from the scene, and bullet fragments to the ballistic lab for forensic analysis. The report noted that the recovered cartridge was fired by the Glock pistol issued to Didmus Baraza. Two things. Without doubt, the DCI cannot be trusted. The DCI that investigated Olunga's murder and the DCI that presented evidence before the High Court in Bungoma could not have been the same one. How can such an agency be trusted in any way, in anything? With such ping pong, the case against Baraza had collapsed.
The entity or the person that made justice not to be done to the deceased is none other than the ballistic expert. It would be the most unfair for me to say that a judge or judiciary failed. I have been a judicial officer for 15 years. And I can tell you for free that such a case revolves around, even minus me or minus the driver, the report of the ballistic expert alone can convict someone.
While Brian Hayemba faults the ballistics examiner, the Rose Ougo court saw it differently. According to the judge, the prosecution's evidence was supposed to be able to convict Didmus Baraza should he have chosen to remain silent during the trial. In simpler terms, the evidence should be so tight that it establishes a prima facie case. In 2018, Justice Richard Kipkoech Limo found that A prima facie case is established where the evidence tendered by the prosecution is sufficient on its own for a court to return a guilty verdict if no other explanation in rebuttal is offered by an accused person. In this case, Justice Rose Ogo, in her thinking, found that the evidence adduced did not require Barasa to defend himself. In her judgment, she fell short of calling out the two witnesses. On page 5 of her 7-page judgment, Justice Rose Ogo wonders, so, who shot the deceased? The evidence adduced has not revealed who shot the deceased. There was no direct evidence that the accused was seen shooting the deceased. The reports on the firearms do not link the accused to be the one who shot the deceased. The only person who could shed light on the same to enable this court put the accused on his defense is PW1 and PW8. PW1, in this case Brian Haemba, and PW8, his driver Joshua Simiyu. Rose Ogo had ruled that should Brian Haemba or Joshua Simiyu would have told the court that they saw what actually happened and who shot Olunga, then Didmus Barasa would have had a case to answer. But more ridiculous things were being said in the court in Bungoma. Clara Nyama Wabwire, a presiding officer who was witness number 6, and Ruth Nasimiyo, a clerk who was witness number 7, told the Rose Ogo court that they had more gunshots after MP Didmus Barasa had rejoined them in the classroom. You see, the two election officials painted in the mind of the judge that there was some random shootings somewhere outside the polling station but within the compound of Chebukwabi Primary School. But the bigger issue was not in court, but outside it. Who killed Brian Olunga? From the look of things, there were only 3 firearms in the polling center at the time of the shooting. The polling center had 2 streams, 8G and 8P. The first stream was manned by 2 NYS officers, Donald Mwema and Caroline. The other stream was under Police Constable Emmanuel Kisilu and Adenis Wafula. MP Didmus Barasa had a gun. Brian Haemba had a gun. The two had pistols of 9mm caliber. The only other firearm was with Police Constable Emmanuel Kisilu, who had been assigned at the polling center by Mr. Maru, the Kimilili Sub-County Police Commander. Kisilu was armed with a G3 rifle of serial number 6513671. Did he kill Brian Olunga? Because the truth is, Brian Olunga, seated on the co-driver's seat, was shot dead by someone inside that polling station and just 5 meters from him.
Are you still convinced that the Ega MP shot Brian Olunga?
From where I sit, because the narrative which was being played, the matter went to court, and even the kind of questions that were being asked by the defense lawyers were that there were several guns, and therefore you could not tell which gun shot the deceased. Of course, nothing can be further from the truth. I was armed, I had a gun, but I never used it. So there cannot be, there is another gun that shot the deceased. The other gun that was there was by a police officer who was manning the polling station. And that is a G3. If a G3 was to shoot, the damage and the extent of the wound is known, because the caliber measurement of the bullet that is discharged by a G3 is not the same as the caliber measurement of a pistol.
Back in Samitsi, the Odinga family feels betrayed and let down. They saw firsthand as the evidence in their son's murder got washed away.
Kulikuwa na ushahidi kwamba Didmus ndiye alimshoot. Ushahidi wa kutosha. Sasa wakati waliandika ushahidi wa kwanza, ushahidi wakati kesi ilianza, tukaona tena ushahidi unaanza kutofautiana. Ule ushahidi ulikuwa wa kwanza, tena watu mashahidi wakaanza kubadilisha kulingana na hatuelewi kwa nini walikuwa wanabadilisha.
His father and mother hope that someday justice will be served in whatever manner.
Kwangu naona mnyonge hana haki, kwa sababu kama serikali ya sasa haiwezi fuatilia tukapata justice ya kijana yetu, ni heri hata hiyo kesi ikuwa appeal, tuapili hiyo kesi hata kama itakaa miaka 10 ama zaidi, na ni kama hii serikali yetu tusaidia. Wacha hii kesi ikuwa appeal, tuapili, ikae itulie mpaka wakati ile serikali inaweza tusaidia sisi kama wanyonge, itakuja uongozini. Hapo ndiposa hiyo kesi itaendelea.
Kama apili ingefanywa iwekwe bending, wakati serikali itakapoingia mamlakani na ionekane kwamba ni ya kuchali maslahi ya binadamu, hapo ndio naona kama kesi inaweza anzishwa kwa hapo, na haki ya mtoto wangu ifanye nini? Ipatikane. Sababu naona kwamba katika hii serikali haki ya mtoto wangu haiwezi patikana.
Polisi walifanya kazi yao, lakini sasa polisi, majaji, nini, ni serikali. Utasema nini? Na ni serikali. Hiyo ni serikali.
Niliuliza ule aspirant anaitwa Brian Khayemba, mheshimiwa, nasikia kesi imeisha, nipe way forward, can we appeal, make an appeal? Kwa sababu kwangu mimi nilitaka appeal ifanyike. Brian aliniambia hapana, hiyo ni criminal case, huwa hawapili. Ikishaisha hivyo kesi imeisha. Yeye mwenyewe nilimpikia simu akaniambia hivyo.
Wakati alikuja hapa kwa matanga, akapewa nafasi, akaongea kwa machozi, akasema mimi mwenyewe Brian Khayemba niliona Didmus, mheshimiwa Didmus akishuti kijana Brian Olunga. Aliona kwa macho yake, tena alikuwa anaongea kwa machozi. Sasa wakati kesi ilianza, akatoa tena ushahidi tofauti kwamba aliona kijana alishutiwa, lakini hakuona Didmus akimshuti. Kumaanisha ni ushahidi tofauti na ule wa kwanza. Na akasema kesi kama hiyo ikishaamuliwa hakuna kuapili, itakuwa imeisha vile imeisha hivyo imeisha. Sasa sisi hatukuelewa, sababu sisi wataalam, tukaelewa tukafikiria pengine vile hawezi appeal na inasemekana yeye ni lawyer, tukasema pengine kesi imeisha, wanyonge hatuna haki, tutafanya nini? Ikaisha hivyo.
Before and after the arraignment of MP Didmus Barasa, Olunga's father had received about a dozen phone calls from people who claimed to be close to the murder suspect and the larger UDA leadership. These phone calls have made him believe that the current political dispensation in the country cannot allow justice for his son, and nobody can make him depart from that belief.
niliona kama ni threat mtu kupikia simu akuambie kwamba hiyo kesi haiwezi enda mahali. Analinganisha kesi yangu na ya Aisha Jumwa. Ambie kesi Aisha Jumwa ilienda wapi? Hiyo kesi hakuna mahali inaenda. Ukimuuliza wewe ni nani, anakata simu. Mwingine anakupigia na kuuliza, "Pato unaendelea na hiyo kesi?" Mimi nikamwambia, "Hapana, mimi sina kesi yote. Serikali ndio imeshtaki Titmas, sio mimi." Serikali ndio imeshtaki Titmas. Kupitia kwa serikali, kama haki inaweza patikana kwa mtoto wangu, basi sisi tumengojea haki itendeke kwa mtoto kupitia kotini. Tunakwambia hapana, hiyo unamaliza muda, utatembea kwenda Bungoma mpaka utachoka. Ukimuuliza wewe ni nani, anakata simu. So nilipikiwa simu mingi. Mwingine anakuambia, "I'm offering you 6 million. Nimetumwa na mheshimiwa nikuje nikuchukue. Tuende Nairobi uchukue 6 million. Wachane na hiyo kesi." Huyo nilimuuliza, na how worthy is your child? Wewe unalinganisha 6 million na mtoto wako. 6 million inaweza kuletea mtoto. Anakata simu na mimi na block hiyo line. Nika blacklist. Mwingine akanipigia anasema, "Hapana, nimeambiwa nikupikie simu nikuje nikuchukue tuende State House kwa mheshimiwa His Excellency the President, kwamba mmalizie huko kesi." Hata sikutaka kusikia hiyo maneno, nikakata, sababu ilikuwa sasa notorious. Kila siku mtu anakupikia simu with a different number.
In less than a year, precisely 7 months, Didmas Baraza had been charged with murder, denied the charges, and 21 witnesses brought to the stand to lead evidence against him. This time frame is a true definition of the judicial efficacy that many Kenyans are hungry for, even in less demanding cases. It is Murder Tip's assessment that the case against Didmas Baraza was so compromised, so much so that no witness ever repeated what they had earlier recorded with police. One more thing that leads us to that finding is that if Baraza did not kill Olunga, isn't the DCI interested in who killed him then? Imagine a country where random people just show up and kill people during elections. Good evening.